One of the men who represented themselves in front of the U.S. Supreme Court was a former ally of Adolf Hitler. During the early years of Nazi rule, he rose through the ranks and was sent as a representative to Mussolini. On a trip to the United States, Wagner, the composer, introduced him to Henry Ford. When Lüdecke returned to Germany, he and his mentor Ernst Röhm had a falling out with Hitler. A State Department letter says that Lüdecke had been imprisoned in late 1933 and was unable to communicate with his wife in the United States for months. In 1934, Lüdecke evaded assassination and returned to Detroit. While adapting to American life, Lüdecke wrote a book, I Knew Hitler, the story of a Nazi who escaped the blood purge, in 1937. Modern historians regard the book as somewhat useful, but unreliable when it comes to specific quotes. By 1939, Lüdecke was on a cross-country book tour. Here's an article from an Idaho newspaper. Seeking U.S. citizenship, he told a federal district court, the old Lüdecke is dead, and arranged for the judge to read his book. But he was not persuaded. I want to make clear that this guy was a former Nazi, but only former because he nearly got killed, not because of a moral conclusion. By now, Lüdecke had some level of fame, and his immigration story made Time magazine. That fame backfired because after the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, Lüdecke was detained the next day. Lüdecke's case would head to the Supreme Court in 1948, which is before we had audio recordings of the arguments. Although Germany had surrendered in 1945, the justices continued to rule that war powers, including the Alien Enemies Act, could be used by the president. Lüdecke had a partial victory on habeas issues, but was still quickly deported. The joint resolution to terminate the state of war was signed with Germany in October 1951. A few months later, the Supreme Court supported a German, Jägler, in a similar petition. I tried to look on English and German Wikipedias for information about Lüdecke after his deportation, but found little beyond that he chose to return to West Germany. He died in 1960. United States Supreme Court rules and practices have changed since these cases. This was a podcast episode, not legal advice.